and it's wonderful to see you again. Today, I'd like to share with you why I started a B&B before I became a hotelier. I've had a few people ask me, please, how did you get to become a hotelier? So let me start my little story. I was working and I was employed, working for a company, and I decided to resign because my granddad had Parkinson and dementia, and he was living in South Africa at the time. And then we got him to fly across, and we picked him up at the airport, and he came to stay with me in a town. And I had a Georgian house with 4 bedrooms there, and 2 of the rooms I rented out, and 1 room granddad had and the other I had. And the 2 rooms that were rented out were mostly like a spare room rental, and that gave me income to look after granddad. And granddad had some of his own money to help with a bit of expenses and that. So I cared for granddad, and I was there in the town for about 3 years. And then granddad decided to walk around and get lost, and then the police had to bring him around, and he was wandering all over the place. And I decided to sell the property, and I moved a mile out of the little town into a hamlet where there was no pub, or it was just a little beautiful hamlet in the Cotswolds. And there was a 3-bedroom semi-detached house with 1 bathroom that I rented and I renovated. There was no garden. I redid the whole garden and renovated it inside and made it up to the standard that I'm accustomed to. And granddad was happy there. He walked around, he spent time in the garden under the apple tree, and I put a summer house in, and he really enjoyed it. And at times he was getting more and more tired, and he was just sitting in his chair, and he wasn't really, I'm trying to get him active, do things, go with us shopping, keep his mind going. But at this stage, he was getting more and more difficult for him to walk, etc. And then one day he climbed up the stairs and he fell down, and he damaged himself badly. And I had to take him to hospital, and he eventually had to go into a home. And this is after 4 years this happened. And I cared for him for another year. I kept going to the home, making sure he's eating properly, he's settled in, he's got his music, talking to him, reading to him. And eventually I had to stop and start thinking about myself. And I had to think, what am I going to do now? I need to earn some money because my savings are getting low. So I decided to turn the 3-bedroom into a 1 single, 1 double bedroom B&B. Boy, did I have a long learning curve, but I just did it. I took the rooms and I changed them, and I made them into the single room, took granddad's single bed out, and I made it into the double room. I had to buy a double bed, and at least I had linen and everything for it. And I started preparing everything to make the rooms look pretty, and took painted furniture, pieces of antique furniture. Well, it wasn't antique, it was just furniture I got off an auction, and I painted them and prepped the rooms up. And the single room wasn't finished. I got the double room finished, but the single room wasn't finished. In the meantime, I decided to put the room of some of the photographs of the rooms on a booking platform. And lo and behold, I did it. The single room never had a blind, and I thought, okay, I've put it on there. It'll take a week before somebody really starts seeing it, and nobody would want to stay here. I mean, I'm right in a hamlet at the moment, and it's just going to be a slow process. Well, I'm going to have to tell you that story. Well, lo and behold, I hadn't been half an hour on that booking site, and my doorbell rang. And there stood this gentleman, and he said, I've booked in for tonight. And I said, what do you mean? Yeah. And so I looked on my computer, and lo and behold, he had booked in. I said, well, come in, let me make you comfortable. I've just put this on the site about half an hour ago, and I have the room, but it's a single room. He says, no, that's fine. That's the one I booked. And I took him upstairs and I showed him the room, and I said, I haven't even had time to put on the blinds. He says, it's fine. And there's no TV. If you want to watch TV downstairs, you're very welcome. He says, no, he's not. He's got work to do. He'll sit at the desk and do some work. I said, fine, no problem. To my shock horror. And then the next day, both the rooms were booked. And so it was going on. The first day I served him breakfast, I was so nervous I didn't know what I was doing. And then when he left, I cleaned the rooms and the bathroom, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I better get myself into a schedule here. So I worked out some form of schedule because I knew the next guests were arriving. And I had to schedule what time I get up, how long it takes me to make breakfast, how long it takes to clean the rooms, how long it takes to do the ironing, and still go and do the shopping, come back and make myself presentable for the next guest to arrive. So from trial and error, I eventually got this right. At some point, some of the guests arrived. I still had curlers in my hair. They're knocking on the door. When I said they should check in at 4:30 or 4 o'clock, I can't remember then what time, they were there at 1:30. So I just, curlers and all, let them in. And then the next thing I had to work out was my cleaning needs. What did I need to buy the right cleaning material? Because you don't want to buy stuff that is like going to burn anybody's skin if they stand in the shower, or you've got to have some chemicals that are really clean. You've got to protect yourself as well, because you must keep your hand, wear rubber gloves when you're cleaning the bathrooms and everything. So what I did is I researched everything as I was doing all this running the guest houses, got myself a handy caddy, and I put everything in there because it was easier to carry around. And then I got myself a nice handheld vacuum cleaner so that I didn't have to lug this heavy one that I had, a heavy vacuum cleaner that I had. So I got a light one that I can just shove up, caddy and vacuum cleaner in my hand with feather duster, and off I'd go upstairs and do the cleaning. Then the next thing that I had to source out was food. Now, I didn't want to go to the local store. I wanted to go to places like small places that they made their own bacon. I got the fresh eggs from the farm down the road, and the bread. There was a lady who baked the most amazing bread that I got from her. And then people who are making apple juice, because where I lived was a lot of apples. They had lots of apples there, and I had a lot of apples in my garden with trees that I could make apple juice and everything as well when the apple season came. And the most important thing that I learned as I was going along, have a good coffee. So I had a carafes, which I use till this day, because it's a percolated, and it's not as percolated coffee, but it tastes just as good as percolated. And the good bread that you have and the different juices are so important for a breakfast. And you have to time yourself, because you've got to schedule how long it makes you to do this. The next thing you've got to think of is your parking. Have you got enough space? For every room, there should be a car. So luckily and fortunately, I had a long driveway and enough space for 2 cars to park there and get in and out with no problems. So that was sorted. And I had a very secure home where I lived. And then the next thing that you need to do is get to know the areas, your area. And I didn't really know, because everybody came and asked me, where can we go? And is this place nice? Is that place nice? And I would say, yes, that's nice, but it's full of tourists. You don't really want to go there, because I've been there and I did my tours when I was living in the area and taking Granddad around to experience all the sights. That I eventually worked out a tour that is where no tourists go, and it was beautiful and people could really enjoy themselves. and spend the day doing what they have to do, and go to the bigger towns and see what is around there. And the guests just loved that. And the other thing that I did is I went to all the pubs and the restaurants in close proximity to where I was, and I chatted to them and told them that I've got a B&B, and if you would like to put my name on your website so that people know that they can come to the B&B. And they were so kind, they did this. So I got quite a few bookings from that as well. And the other thing that I learned was to enhance my area where my guests are going to sit and have a drink when they come back. Some have had a long drive. When they came, I'd always offer them tea. We'd sit outside on the terrace if it was summer, or in the lounge by the fire that they can keep warm, or have a port or something like that. But I wasn't licensed at that time, so I didn't serve alcohol. But if people wanted to bring their own, they could drink it at their own time. And that's what I did. And that's important that you think about that, because it makes that guest experience so beautiful. And that's what I've learned from doing my little B&B. Right, now, the bad. When the problems start and things go wrong. But it makes it all worthwhile in the end. Believe me, it does. You can have a boiler that packs up. I had a boiler that it was, you could use it, but it just decided to switch off at times. But I managed to get that sorted out with a plumber, and he fixed it and it started working. Then I had those electric showers over the bath. And every time I turned the water on in the laundry for some reason, or in the kitchen while I'm cooking, the shower would cut out and the person was standing there and say, "Oh, go and get her. I can't, the water's gone out." Or the one guy came down with his towel around and said, "There's no water in the shower." Anyway, I said to him, "No problem, we'll go and sort it out." So I went and switched everything off, reset the shower, and said, "Just wait a few minutes and then it'll come back on again." And he did that. And this was not good, because they're obviously giving you bad marks and marking you down because of this. But this is the learning curve I had. Then you would have local electricity failures. Always have candles around, always have matches around, because this can occur anywhere, anytime. Even if you have it for 2 years and you haven't used it, believe me, it does happen at one stage, or whatever happens. Or the heating, it's too hot, it's too cold. I had to figure out what was the most ambient temperature to keep it that people in the winter will not feel too cold, and they could sleep comfortably throughout the night. And I also made sure that I learned to have warm water bottles there for them during the night, because when the heating is very cold, they've got their warm water bottles to keep them warm as well. Or there's a burst pipe in the local area. Oh my goodness. I had this Italian gentleman check in, screaming and shouting at me, "This is force majeure, he understands, but he wants his money back and he's not staying here." You have to be so calm about it. You have to make them feel, let them talk their talk. And I had to learn, instead of telling bugger off, I had to say, "Well, let's do this. You go out for a meal and I'll put bottled water in your room. And when you come back, if the water's not on by the morning, I refund you everything that I owe you." And he was happy with that. So he went out for a meal, and half an hour later, the water came on, because it had been off most of the day, but it came back on again. And when it came back, the water was on and there was no problems, and we had a happy guest leave, which is another thing that can happen. Hair dryer's not working. Sometimes I don't know what happens. They leave them running forever. Some guests do that. Some guests don't switch it off, but they do burn out eventually, and then you've got to run around looking for another one. I learned to keep 2 hair dryers spare, and that's what I do now. Your kettle's not boiling. Somebody's left it on and it didn't switch off, or something went wrong. So you always have spare kettles. That's another thing I learned. TV's not upgraded because here in the UK we upgraded because of Freeview, so that people, and then they can't change the programs. Oh, then they come down. There's something wrong with the television. It's not working. Then you've got to go in there and set it for them. I learned to do that before anybody checks in. So these are all the things that I learned while I had my guest house. Then I had some lady helping me as well to do the cleaning at times when I was tired. Oh, they phone up and say, I'm terribly sorry, I can't make it today. Even here with the hotel that I've got, you then end up being the only one that has to clean 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms and still do the breakfast and get the washing done and check everything. But boy, do you quickly learn how to do things the right way. And you've got to plan and schedule. Or you get a guest that's ill. Make sure you've got a doctor's number there that they can contact them, and emergency services. And always be aware, somebody can call you at midnight. I had a guest who was so ill, and when I called emergency services, they were so busy, I don't know why, but then I rushed him to the local hospital and got him in there after 5 hours, and then the next morning still having to do breakfast. Now, these are just a few of the problems that I've had. But you know what? In the end, it's just wonderful because I have such a passion for having a guest house and making it so beautiful, because your guests come as a guest and they leave as a friend, and you can, years later, I'm still contacting some of the friends. We are on Facebook, we are communicating, and some of them have even come back to my hotel here. And since I got the new White Lion, and some of them are coming to visit, and they have booked over COVID. It's been bad because we've just got to keep extending it. And this is what I mean. It's like having friends over for sleepovers and they pay. So these are the things that I'm sharing with you, the pitfalls and the best things that I've had about learning from having a small B&B for 3 years to having the new White Lion now. And boy, I love every minute of it. And now with this COVID, I cannot wait for us to open up so that I can have guests coming through and sharing everything with us. Right, guys, I've got to go. The window cleaners arrive. So let's go and see what he's up to. Hi, now this is Rihanna from Steve's Window Cleaning. She's come to clean the rooms, the windows outside of the hotel. And this is quite exciting because they come every 3 months to do the cleaning. And here comes Steve with his blue little van. And he's the owner of the business. And they've been working with me for the last year. And I'm quite happy with their services. Hello, Steve. How are you, darling?
How are you, all right?
Yeah, what you up to?
Up to starting out to do the roof across there now.
Yes.
And enjoy it, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's nice to be out.
Isn't it lovely to be out?
I've got a fantastic day as well.
I'm so happy that you've come. Because my windows need cleaning badly.
they do, I tell you. How are you, Rihanna? Are you okay?
Yeah, she's all right.
Go on, Flo, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you more.
They are a bit dirty, the windows are.
Yeah.
It's been 3 months since, how long has it been since you've been here?
When do you want them done next?
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months, is it?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Can we book you in always, yeah?
Yeah,
so
every 3 months. That's brilliant.
This is a lovely place we come to. There, Rihanna.
Yeah. No. So everybody that works here get filmed.
Is it?
I'm filming you for my vlog.
You carry on, Flo.
Yeah, and this is from Steve's Window Cleaning. So if you use Steve's, they are the ones that clean.
They stand there.
And they're highly recommended by the new White Lion and me. And as I come inside, you can see Steve on top of the roof. And at least we'll have all the conservatory windows clean for 3 months. They actually give me very good service. I enjoy it when they pop around. We can have a chat. That's wonderful that Steve's now cleaned all the windows and the hotel feels all sprightly and ready for when the new guests arrive, and then we can have all the sounds of people in this hotel again. I want to thank you very much to listening to this vlog of mine and how I became a hotelier and my story. If you've got any questions or anything, please put them in the comments below, and hopefully I can answer your questions. And I wanted to give you this opportunity and say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll subscribe, like and comment, and I will see you next week. Have a lovely weekend. Bye for now.